protect and defend the Constitution of the Republic of Kenya.
By the time they were sworn in, it was public knowledge that MPs were going to take a pay cut from 851,000 shillings to 532,500 shillings, and their new counterparts, the senators, would take home an equal amount. But it wasn't only them who got a pay cut. It cuts across the board to include cabinet secretaries, chairmen and members of constitutional commissions. And even the new president will have to be content with an over $500,000 shilling pay cut compared to what the outgoing president earned. This new salary structure, however, is not sitting well with the new state officers who chose to overlook the issue as they conducted their campaigns.
I mean, if the pressures continue and obviously if they get their way, then what it means is that we will have to get back to cutting development expenditure in order to pay for wages, largely because wage budgets are not very flexible. If you have people in office and they have a contract, you actually pay them unless you cut down the numbers. I do not see anybody going to cut down numbers right away. So what it means is that development expenditure will suffer yet again.
Any more increase in salaries will definitely add to the already straining wage bill, which stood at 457 billion shillings in the financial year just ending.
In the long run, it certainly will not be sustainable. It will actually even be against the law. It's against the Constitution, and it's also against the Public Finance Management Bill and the regulations that were drawn under it. It's not, it actually is a complete violation of the laws that exist.
And since wages are paid out of domestic revenue, the Salaries Commission knows only too well that a higher wage bill would make the economy vulnerable. Even then, a regional comparative analysis shows that Kenya's wage bill to revenue ratio is the highest in Africa as well as other regions at 35%. For countries in Europe, the average wage bill to domestic ratio is half that of Kenya.
And if members of parliament or some people think that this was not, then the counter proposal should be also based on some numbers. It should not be based on arbitrary questions such as, I will not be able to afford a house of 30 million on this salary. I mean, that is a preposterous argument to start with. Or, I will not be able to afford my car, the kind of car that I want, or the mortgage that I require, or I will not be able to manage a family of this kind. I think public service tells you that, well, all of us live within our means, and if you're provided with a salary of, for instance, a given amount of shillings, then you have to live within that.
The Salaries and Remuneration Commission stated in its reports that a rising wage bill is a threat to the funding of important government projects as outlined in Vision 2030 and a serious threat to the country's economic growth prospect.
Our policy was to have an efficient, well-paid, but lean civil service. We have achieved the efficiency, we have achieved the well-paid, but we did not achieve the lean. And that is where the problem is coming in.
The Commission's salary structure received approval from the public and, in fact, a proposal to further slash those salaries. The public, however, hardly knows of the millions that go into paying the allowances, which, by the way, are not taxed.
And we would want to focus on that because we realize that allowances are probably more of the causes of the unsustainable wage bill than even the salary itself.
The subject of salaries and remuneration is a deeply emotive one and is bound to generate heated debate as the newly elected leaders settle into their offices. Sylvia Chebet, Citizen Live at 9.